There's a lot of discourse about privilege and oppression in the current year. And most frequently, I see people talking about pretty privilege, saying it doesn't exist, but also if it does exist, it's evil. And I think that there is some credence to the idea that hot people in 2024 are, having a rough time. They're having a rough go of it. So on Reddit, a thread asked, attractive people, what was your horrible experience for being attractive? Now, first off, this is on Reddit, so there are 0 hot people on Reddit. We already know that.
So this is all fan fiction.
So this is all just fan fiction, people who use Reddit or chronically online who for some reason believe that they are hot. Mm-hmm. But let's entertain the idea nonetheless. Here were some of the responses. I read once that the dark side of pretty privilege is that you are lusted over and not loved. And that has always stuck with me. I honestly wish I had read it earlier in my life because it's so true.
Maybe she's just not lovable.
It's just so hard to have people throwing themselves at me all the time.
Is this like a weird offshoot?
Debilitating.
Is this like a weird offshoot of the porn stars who are like, I can't find love?
Do they say that?
Yes.
I mean, a lot of them end up married.
Yeah, to other people in the business, but they're like,
Usually.
It's so hard to meet somebody outside of the industry, and everyone's like, shocking.
Yeah, it's like almost a consequence of your actions. But in this case, if you're hot, you can't help being hot. You could try to make yourself ugly, but it's not going to work. Another response said, people want you or want something from you, but sometimes they don't see you as a whole person.
I mean, people could say the same thing about rich people who they just see as,
Well, yeah, but that you could also donate all of your money so that you aren't an evil billionaire anymore. A lot of women in the thread said that they find it hard trying to have friendships with men because all of the men are pretending to be their friend to get in their pants, which brings up a whole new debate. Can men and women be friends in general?
Yeah.
What's your take on that? Can they be friends?
I have no idea.
Do you have female friends?
I have female friends.
So you think you can?
Yeah.
It is possible.
Yeah, I do. But again, that's a vastly different thing. It depends on how long you've known them, what your relationship is to them outside of, like, did you know them from a group of friends? Like I have and again, I don't even really talk to any of them anymore, but did have friends that were all part of the same group because either they knew people that I knew or I knew people that they knew, but we didn't hang out one-on-one.
Right. I think that it is possible for men and women to be friends, but people need to understand that you just can't have the same level of closeness, even if you tried, with the opposite sex friend that you would have with a same-sex friend.
Yeah. Also, men and women are going to look at this differently.
Yeah, well, this is self-reported hot women saying that they can't be friends with men because men always try to use that friendship as an in.
Well, yeah, I mean, that's the idea, right? Is everyone's suspicious of the guy who just hangs around the girl. Especially if he gives her like a lot of attention and stuff like that. That's sus as fuck.
The nice guy has turned into such a reviled archetype because he, believes that he's this virtuous person who deserves he like deserves the affections of this woman. He's an offshoot of the male
feminist.
Right, exactly. Yeah. Because like I'm nice and you just want to go for all the bad boys, but it's like,
this is different than what I think
maybe you're not as nice as you think you are.
This is very different from what I think of as like the people that I know, both men and women that I'm friends with these days. What that amounts to is sending memes. Mm-hmm. That's friendship for me in a lot of ways. That's totally different. Outside of people that I know from work, right? Like there's no women that I'm just calling to go hang out with. No, not at all.
I think this was from a male. He responded, I had a genuine stalker in university. A girl in my class was obsessed with me to the point where it was genuinely very unsettling. So I guess the hot men also have their own problems. Another one said negging, being attractive enough to get hit on, but when you're not interested, they pick out something to make you feel like shit about so that they don't feel bad for being rejected by you. Negging is a huge pet peeve of mine.
Really? Happen a lot to you?
I don't know if I would say a lot, but when it does happen, I'm just like, how do you think that that's attractive?
Yeah.
So I feel like it's only attractive to women with low self-esteem, which I wouldn't consider myself to be one of them.
Yeah.
Huge pet peeve of mine. And also like dudes never being able to see you as a friend.
Mm.
But I think after we talked about Liv Schmidt earlier this week,
Yeah.
who got censored on TikTok for making videos about staying skinny, making workout videos, stuff like that, it literally is just jealousy. Like
Against the fact that she's skinny and attractive and everybody else is fat and ugly.
Yeah, well, and also the fact that she wasn't trying to lie to people and say that it's effortless.
Yeah.
I feel more disrespected when they try to tell you that it is effortless.
It's really easy. Just follow these steps. Buy my course.
She's being transparent and honest that it's not easy. Yeah. One person said that her friends are suspicious of her for like stealing their husbands.
Okay. I mean, is that just an evolutionary response?
Yeah, but at the same time, like, you should have a stronger friendship than that.
Yeah.
You should be able to trust someone.
Yeah.
I think it's already proven that hot people are more trusted and seen as more intelligent.
Like, you're far more likely to look upon a hot person and think of them as smarter and more trustworthy, which never made any sense to me.
They get higher salaries too, on average. Yep. So a lot of these people were saying if you're hot, people think that you're dumb. Literally, like, that's just scientifically not true. Like, we've already found out that if you're attractive, people assume that you're smarter than you are. Yeah. So pretty privilege, like, it is a real thing.
It absolutely is.
Like, there's so much talk about privilege these days that people want to just kind of throw out the whole idea. But you're privileged if, like, you were born into wealth.
If you were born into America, you're already more privileged
if you were born
than 90% of the world.
In the West in general, especially the U.S. Yeah. If you were born into, a family with great, like, social connections with people who could give you jobs. And yes, if you were born objectively more attractive than the rest of society, like, that is an unearned privilege. I just don't think there's anything wrong with taking advantage of it if you have it.
Nope.
Like nepotism too.
Nope.
Don't act like it doesn't exist, but
if a girl is born conventionally very attractive and wants to go be a model rather than a scientist, that is her God-given right.
And if a
guy is born handsome and wants to be a male model rather than, go and be a professional athlete or a scientist, that is his God-given right. Mm-hmm. If he wants to go sell cars because women will buy an SUV from him because he looks more trustworthy, you know?
I haven't experienced this firsthand, but a way that any woman could experience pretty privilege is by being a woman in STEM. If you're a STEM major, I've heard so many women say this, you're likely going to be one of maybe a handful of women in any of your classes. Mm-hmm. And the men either completely shut you out and shun you, or they're huge simps.
It's really funny. It makes me think of, who remembers the scene in Casino Royale where James Bond is on the train with Vesper and he's like, they're basically like analyzing each other, and he points out, he says that she's very, very pretty, but she dresses in a slightly masculine way as a way of pushing back. Mm-hmm. And he says, ironically making it less likely for you to get promoted by your male colleagues.
Yeah, but is that like a feminist talking point, or is it?
It's kind of given in that way. He's actually saying like it works against you that you do that, even though she's good at her job.
I don't think there's anything wrong with using feminine wiles to get what you want in life.
Who's more objective about their own gender, women or men?
These days, like about their own gender in what way?
About like the attractiveness of
their own attractiveness
of their own genders, of like other people in their own. Because we were talking a lot about jealousy about women. Who's more objective about their own gender?
Oh, it's got to be men, because all I see on every girl's selfie post, even if she looks like a 1, is that you like that type of like slay queen. You're perfect. You're beautiful. And it's almost like they get more of those comments if they're objectively,
because they makes them feel good about themselves.
They're patting themselves on the back by complimenting the ugly friend.
Yeah.
And right now, some people are denying that even any objective standards of beauty even exist. So how would pretty privilege exist if there weren't any objective standards for attractiveness?
I mean, because it's unspoken. Like the way that the privilege asserts itself is through unspoken means, like getting hired for a job as opposed to the less attractive person. It's not that that person's going to come out and say that they think you're more attractive. It's that you're just going to get more opportunities.
So the first example I thought of for someone who has complained about the dark side of pretty privilege was Megan Fox.
Oh, yeah.
Because if you remember, back in 2009, she starred in a movie called Jennifer's Body, and it failed at the box office because the people who were in charge of marketing the movie just thought, well, Megan Fox is starring in it, so let's make her sex appeal the whole point of the marketing campaign for this movie instead of what it's actually about.
That's a hard movie to market through trailers.
It definitely was. It had like a cult revival later on, but at the time it was a massive failure. And she talked about, going through that period of time, saying it was her favorite movie she ever starred in, but it aligned with a rough period of her personal life. Quote, "There's just something about the timing of that and how it aligned with my public crucifixion I was going through and my internal psychological breakdown. What the character was going through was very much a metaphor for what I was going through in Hollywood and with the media and the world at large." Can you tell me what she was going through in 2009 that amounted to a public crucifixion?
She was kind of seen as whiny because of the stuff on Transformers, like complaining about having to work 12-hour days for Michael Bay.
He's literally Hitler.
That's literally what she said.
She did, in fact, compare him to Hitler, and that lost her a role in the third Transformers
Which is
movie.
funny because then, just to be petty, he hired like Rosie Huntington-Whiteley, who's basically a Victoria's Secret model with like no acting experience.
He's like, Megan Fox is always going to be too short to be a Victoria's Secret model.
Take that, woman.
Take that, Megan. But she's talked extensively about, what it's like to be an attractive woman and how it comes with a lot of downsides as well.
But here's the problem. No normal person who's not that is ever going to have any sympathy for you. You are fighting the losingest of losing games there could possibly be.
Yes.
It's like a 7-foot tall person who plays pro basketball complaining about how difficult it is to fly.
Well, look, Brett, I just want to let everyone know that hot girls have problems too. And I know that because I watched the music video for Hot Problems 12 years ago.
That's where you learned of this.
Yeah.
Here we go.
They taught me an important lesson.
Look at me and tell me the truth. What do you do?
Mary shows this to me and goes, she actually was like surprised I had never heard of this.
I was. It was
People
a big
don't
deal, I
know
thought.
What we go through. They see my blonde hair.
New Crisis Party song?
Blue eyes
No.
in class. But they don't know I have a really big heart. Don't get me wrong. I know that I'm hot.
They're like 12.
But textbook perfection really takes a lot. Weird guys call my phone. And girls call me names. But like Mike said,
I'm sorry. Ladies, if you're going to wink at the camera, you need to practice first. Winking it's not something you can just do, okay? It's not easy. A good wink takes work.
Try it in the mirror first.
This is the worst thing I've ever seen
Wait
in my
for the
life.
chorus.
hot girls, we have problems too. We're just like you, except we're hot. The world needs to open their eyes and realize we're not perfect.
Did they inspire Rebecca Black, or did Rebecca Black inspire them?
We lie. I got the
Same time period?
Came out in 2012, so Rebecca
the same
Black might have
song?
been beforehand.
Okay.
But
Yeah.
those things don't make me a boys call
Okay, I
me
can't watch anymore. I'm sorry. I'm sorry.
I just had to share that absolute gold mine of satire.
In the chat, Nightcall says dies of cringe.
I know it's cringe, but like I think they were onto something.
Think so?
Yeah.
Yeah. Again, it's just going to be very hard for people to look at somebody who's super attractive and be like, wow, woe is you. Your life is so difficult.
Definitely. Especially in Megan Fox's situation where she was complaining about being over-sexualized in Hollywood. Like, girl, what would you be doing without Hollywood?
Yeah.
Especially because, you know, you choose the roles you take and you create your own boundaries with what you're willing to do for fame. She's saying, like, I was ahead of the curve with Me Too, with the Me Too movement, because I called out Michael Bay.
For being mean and making me work a lot.
Well, didn't she also say that Michael Bay, like, objectified her or, like, put her in objectifying situations?
In the movie?
In the movie.
Yeah, it was awesome.
But, like, that was one of her main complaints?
I mean, boo-hoo. Sorry you had to have a tiny little robot transformer hump your leg.
Yeah.
What do you want me to do about it?
It was a different time.
It was a great time.
What year was that?
The first one was 2007.
Right?
And then Dark of the Moon, I think, came out in 2008 or 9. I'm sorry. Revenge of the Fallen came out like right after that and was like a victim of the writer's strike. So, and I still love both of those movies. And I don't care what anyone says. And I think they're fantastic.
We're very happy that society has evolved and progressed.
As far as I'm concerned, the end of the first Transformers movie where he's like kissing her on the hood of Bumblebee while Optimus Prime looks off into the sunset and gives the rousing speech, that was when America peaked.
Bumblebee was kind of getting violated
a little bit. Like,
a little bit.
Like if you take into account the fact that Bumblebee is like sentient, he's basically letting a bunch of humans get down on him. That's a little weird.
It's like, hey, I'm a person.
But other than that, that whole speech, that was when America peaked as Linkin Park plays in the background.
We used to be a country.
We used to be a country.
A proper country.
Thanks for watching. Listen to full episodes of Pop Culture Crisis on Spotify.
Keep up with us on social media and make sure you subscribe and ring that bell so you never miss the show. Bye, guys.